Bye. त्यस्तो साह्रो जडिया पनि छैन क्या म. A drink with MERI. No, I'm not MERI. MERI.
रक्सी लगाएपछि आफ्नो नाम बिर्सिन्छ भनेर कसैले सोचेको थियो नो यहाँ हुन्छ त्यस्तो चाहिँ.
This is a shorter version of our podcast. If you want to listen to the full episode, the links are in the description box.
Start with a basic ass question then.
Thankfully, I didn't get it, but I looked after COVID patients for the whole of last, 8 months. So this podcast, I'm not going to be talking about what should have happened in COVID or ke bhayo hola. This is not a guest podcast. This is actually what happened in the local hospital and what I went through when I looked after COVID patients. And I hope I don't get any facts wrong. Please don't kill me. Well, I'll try and share whatever I know. As far as I know. What about you?
Interesting. Mine's been the most interesting roller coasterist COVID journey ever. I was stuck in Nepal for more than half of the year. When I came back, I had a new job. I lost that job because of COVID. And my family members got COVID multiple times. So I've literally just come out from quarantine. Like, yeah, he's on Matare and I'm here.
I was like thrown right in the center of it.
Center? No, yeah. Bro, you were like on the front line.
At the front line.
You're on the front line. War ma huncha ni that war ma the front ma jane मान्छेहरु हुन्छ नि
like junior सिपाही हुन्छ नि त्यो अगाडि मर्छ नि I was that. Whereas you were hoping to go for a lovely a month-long traveling journey.
A month-long traveling journey, which was cut short by 3 weeks, which I'm not complaining, I know, because 1 week though, and pretty much 1 week was not that interesting anyway. It was just like few meet up with friends type. It's not interesting one. Not telling that my friends aren't interesting. Thank you, but I've like met them whilst in lockdown anyway, so it wasn't that a big deal. So I had my time, but then I wanted to come back, but then आउन नि पाएन, कहीँ जान नि पाएन. Worst thing is like UK मा चाहिँ everything was open के like takeawayहरु चाहिँ घरमा आउने types के. अनि my नजिकको मोमो पसल was बन्द. Why was my momo pasta bond, bro? Ani Foodmandu app was down. Like Foodmandu app was down for like 2 weeks. I was having like life crisis. They were like, "Garko khana hai."
Auntie, no offense, but
I know too much garko khana is a bit, you know that momo when selai पछि it turns like already rock hard. Like you can see the fat layer outside. Oh, that's the momo. Oh, I want that. But that's the thing when I lockdown, so basically, guys. So how was your lockdown in the UK when, well, shall I say lockdown in the UK because it wasn't extreme, was it?
No, I guess it was extreme for what it was previous to that.
True.
Previous to that. Because everybody was going to work and all that, and suddenly everything's shut. People are encouraged to work from home. People are not allowed to leave home. People are not allowed to meet other people. And I think, I don't know, I've lived in the UK for 14-15 years, and this is the first time that I've seen anything like this happen.
True.
And especially UK where people are so social and all that. I think it was such a sudden change, and I think a lot of people struggled with it. But मलाई apart from my work being mentally and physically apart from my work being physically and mentally exhausting, I actually liked that there was nobody about, because there was no rush hour. You didn't have to sit in the traffic to come home. I only work night shifts, so I didn't have to sit in the traffic to come home to my bed. And I guess what I didn't enjoy was the long queues in the shopping center, like shopping center and food supermarket.
Yeah, what was that about, bro? Like people were, because obviously I was in Nepal at this point, and people were sharing memes about the toilet paper not being there.
People were just panic buying and hoarding. I think people probably want to know COVID let's say कसरी effect गर्छ, and then how was COVID as big as they made it type go.
Yeah.
You know what? When COVID first started, I didn't believe it. I was like, oh, it's just another virus. Until I walked into that ward, and then the ward manager was like, we need as many staffs as we can. I'll give you as many shifts as you want, because I'm on a 0-hour contract, right?
Yeah.
She was like, I'll give you as many nights as you want, whatever days you want, I need staff. COVID-ले चाहिँ कसरी effect गर्छ भने, COVID-ले चाहिँ it fills your lungs with water. So basically you're drowning from inside. Where air and oxygen should have been, there's water. So you're like basically not being able to breathe. You're अनि respiratory failure भन्छ कि respiratory failure चाहिँ it happens either when the body is not being able to exchange enough oxygen, or when the body is not able to remove enough carbon dioxide from the blood. And it affected men more than women. Ani diabetic patients more than anybody else. Ani people अब मान्छेहरुको respiratory issues already compromised भएको मान्छेहरु त yeah obviously they're gonna, because it's a respiratory virus.
Yeah.
So मलाई चाहिँ सोचिरहेको थिएँ हामी normal healthy मान्छेलाई चाहिँ त्यति affect गर्दैन होला भनेर.
Yeah.
We were seeing a range of people, okay, like of all ages, all health conditions. We had a bloody triathlete who was so poorly, whereas his girlfriend, who was just a normal person like us who don't exercise and all that, she had COVID, she tested positive for COVID, but she didn't have much symptoms, like she didn't have many symptoms. There were so many sad stories, and people were like dying, like they were dropping like flies. Okay? Like one night shift 12.5 hours I would have like 3 people die, and we'd have to bag them up in a body, like in a plastic body bag, and then send them, and these people didn't even get proper funerals. Okay?
That is proper sad, eh?
So, I mean, right now, I'm not even bothered that I get COVID, because they're coming out with treatments and all that is actually working on them.
Your whole pandemic, like I said, it was very frustrating and very mentally tormenting, because literally the whole world stopped for me, and as it did for a lot of people, you know. So मलाई चाहिँ मेरो personal space नपाएर चाहिँ, if you're introverts you can relate. I'm like an ambivert, so I'm like in the middle. First few days मजा आयो, त्यसपछि when you needed that time to recover, I didn't have that. So मेरो दिमागमा चाहिँ thoughts were going left, right and center. I went through a breakup as well त्यही बेलामा, so I had to put up with like nothing's happening around me type. Family members you only see once in a while, so you don't want to be like, oh look at me, I'm going through shit. Like a lot of sad stories, a lot of people lost their loved ones in very sad ways. A lot of people left this world a bit too early. So it was that's why it was a bit mentally exhausting as well, because no matter how much you say it will not affect me, I'm not related to them emotionally type go. Yeah. But watching those things over and over again, एउटा movie हेर्दा त हामी रुन्छ हैन? Well, I always cry. I cry on the
exactly. एउटा movie हेर्दा त you रुन्छ, because it triggers strings of our emotions that we can relate to. Okay? Yeah. In certain way. Definitely. And it was doing that to everybody. We all had little mini breakdowns. Like yeah. I haven't even, this is people hearing for the first time, and I cried for like 2-3 minutes in the corner of our corridor, but it was, I think, because I was so exhausted. It wasn't because the virus and all that fear and all that, but I was so exhausted. And you know, when you're so exhausted and something does that to you.
It just has to pour, basically.
Yeah, you have to pour it out. I think that was our moment of pouring it out. Like, I'm welling up, kept talking about that. We're not supposed to cry in this podcast. And I was like, okay, you know what? Breakdowns are normal. Yeah. You break down, you take it out in a healthy way, and you move on. That's life.
Like, हामी त decent enough, we can afford find good things, living we can afford, you know. Yeah. But families who are struggling, like when I was in Nepal, I was going through a lot of articles in the Nepal newspaper websites, and then there was an article saying like how COVID period people have passed away with mental health more than नेपालमा भर्खर 2टा COVID cases थिए के. So COVID ले मान्छे मरेकै थिएन के नेपालमा. But then people were dying of hunger. Yeah. People were committing suicide because they couldn't provide for their families. If you had to sum your whole COVID journey, in 3 words, Mother, what would you say?
Oh God,
3 words.
I can't think of any words now, but exhausting for sure. Exhausting. I guess self-reflective as well. I think people had a lot
That's
of
a good
time to
one.
think
I
about.
did that a lot,
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't at first, but after when it started calming down, I did as well, because there was like I was a social person,
Yeah,
so
very.
I wasn't going out anywhere, so I had a lot of time to reflect. And I guess it's a blessing as well, this pandemic, because a lot of positive things happened. I think human nature, we're so used to focusing on the negative side of things, of negative side of
Yeah.
pandemic, that we're kind of the positive side is being overshadowed a little bit.
Okay.
So I did enjoy bits and bobs of this pandemic, and I thought some of the things were necessary for this world, or for changes in this world. So yeah, those are my 3 words: exhausting, self-reflective, and blessing in disguise.
That's quite interesting, because I definitely agree with the self-reflecting, because I did that a lot since I had a lot of time to think. I know it was a bit lonely. It was definitely a bit lonely, like lonely in terms like you were surrounded with people, but then you were still lonely type go, and it was frustrating, like कहिले चाहिँ खोल्छ, when can I go back, हो त्यस्तो वेमा चाहिँ. But the major part of the 3 would be self-reflecting.
It's funny how we both had like very extreme other sides of experiences with COVID, but yet the feelings at the end was sort of mutual.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's where the self-reflecting part comes in.
I guess.
So you see the good yin and the yang of the both situation. But yeah, it was hard. Like once you're like in that toxic environment, but just the motivation manchela jun चाहिन्छ नि, it's very hard to find. And once you get it out, trust me, in the process, sis, it's like a dummy world for yourself. That's the least you can do for yourself. Yeah, I definitely think I've seen the worst version of myself and the best version of myself ever in this whole pandemic situation.
Yeah.
This time frame I had.
Yeah.
And
we all have the added bonus of, flora and fauna, like wildlife and, environment recovering in the process as well. And that was a very good point. And I think focusing on the positives, that was one of the good things that happened to this world. And, carbon emissions were down. And I think it's been a very emotionally charged month, or even the year. Emotionally charged year for everybody, but in their own way. And I think it wouldn't hurt to be a little bit kinder to people. I think there were certainly negatives to this pandemic, and there were certainly positives to this pandemic. But the good thing is, we're hopefully coming out of it, and people are being more aware about what to do and what not to do. And one good thing that I have to point out, मान्छेहरुको hand hygiene चाहिँ, oh my god, I hope it has changed.
I hope the statistics has changed as well. You know how men don't wash their hands as much? I hope it's changed. I hope you actually wash your hands after using the bathroom. And it's a proven fact. Like, it is a proven fact. You would say, don't act me at this. It's true.
I see my boyfriend come out of the bathroom when I go there. I was like, go back in.
And it's like,
what is
this? What is this move?
But I think we've more or less like summed up our COVID experiences and our the way we felt, the mental health and the other things that were affected, not just the disease itself and the aftermath of it, or the how it rippled around and affected other parts of our life. And I think the positive side is there, the negative side, it depends how you take it, how you move on with it.
Yeah, it's either you take the glass half full or half empty.
Exactly,
It's your...
And I hope we said and discussed things that people could relate to, and I'm sure people could relate to those feelings.
KTM, homie, where you... my friends were stuck in the pandemic with me as well, and they all lived in my house because they had nowhere to go. So it was quite fun. It wasn't all sad and lonely as it described, but it was fun as well. But all in all, that was my COVID experience, and that was yours.
At the end of the day, like things happen, shit happen in life. You make out of it what you make out of it.
Exactly.
And on that note, I think it's time to
clink.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up? No, it's too early.
त्यस्तो साह्रो जडिया पनि छैन क्या म.
I thought that was bottoms up.